One of the biggest trials in the Capitol riot investigation is in the hands of the jury right now. Deliberations are underway in the case against the Oath Keepers for their role in the attack on the Capitol on January 6th. 5 members of the extremist militia group face a number of charges, including seditious conspiracy for attempting to stop the transition of presidential power.
Digital investigative reporter Jordan Fisher has been in the courtroom throughout this 30-day-long trial. You've been covering this since January 6th, of course, and you're here to break things down. I guess the first thing we should talk about is what were the arguments from the prosecutors and from the defense?
Yeah, let's start with the defense first. They really tried to get into jurors' head this idea. There was no plan to enter the Capitol. There was no plan to stop the certification of power. That's their argument. And they say in these hundreds of messages that prosecutors showed jurors over the last month and a half, there's nothing explicit. Prosecutors say, first off, we don't have to show you that there's anything explicit. And second, if months and months of discussion about how much you don't want Joe Biden to become president isn't a plan and agreement, then what is? And that's what the jury has in their minds as they go into deliberations today.
All right, so we know one of the big moments of this trial was when the Oath Keepers leader, Stewart Rhodes, took the stand in his own defense. That's big. How'd that go?
Right. We did expect Stewart Rhodes to take the stand. He's not someone who's ever been camera shy. He's a Yale-educated attorney, albeit a disbarred attorney. And what he said is that he really laid out his vision of who the Oath Keepers are. They're an organization that supports veterans, that gives veterans a purpose, that responds to communities like Ferguson, like Louisville in civil unrest, and protects businesses that ask them to come. Now, prosecutors took the opportunity with him on the stand to try to shoot holes in that, to point out that they were also involved in the armed standoff with federal authorities in Utah several years ago. And so it may have been a mixed bag in terms of what he managed to accomplish there on the stand.
So what did the DOJ need to prove here? I mean, what do they need to get through to the jury at this point while they're out?
For that big charge, the seditious conspiracy charge, there are 2 elements the DOJ has to prove. An agreement, that's the conspiracy part, and force. And that's, we've heard so much about this QRF, these guns that were stationed in Virginia. The DOJ says that's the force part. The agreement, again, that is where this whole case is going to hang on. Are all of these messages that the jury saw, are all of these fighting words, this talk of civil war, does that amount to an actual agreement among these defendants to try to stop the certification?
All right, you're going to be watching as we wait for that verdict. Jordan Fisher, thank you.
And Jordan has done some extensive reporting on the Capitol riot cases. To see more of it, you can subscribe to WUSA 9's Capitol Breach newsletter. Just point your phone's camera at that QR code, and we will email you updates every week and when news breaks.